We just start our project, and in our first interview, I would like to meet you more with our special guest, with my friend Fatih Kocheleoğlu, and we just start from the simple questions. Just I want to meet you close with this special and very interesting person. First of all, I would like to ask you about how did you come to practice, and what's it give to you? What's changes in your life?
Practice of yoga, practice of tantra,
of everything. Yeah.
All of this.
How practice touch you?
Mm-hmm. Well, at university I was studying sociology, and also I was very much drawn into philosophy, Eastern philosophy, Western philosophy, and I was very theoretical, like everything was just ideas, knowledge, information, and philosophy. So at some point, in my last year, I realized something is missing in all this, like it's perfect philosophy, but I still suffer, I don't have a good life, there's many problems of life. All this philosophy doesn't really help me. And I met some interesting people. I was living in Istanbul at that time. I met some hippie kind of people, really interesting, really out of the system, out of ordinary people. And they were talking about things like yoga, astrology, Egyptian wisdom, LSD, like all kind of different things and experiences. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And
come to you from different ways, yeah? Just
in my outside of the university, in real life, I met these interesting people, and I started reading books again about all this because I was a very book person. And I started with Mantak Chia actually,
yes,
and Osho at the same time. And the philosophy of Osho really helped me a lot to open my mind. And these techniques about Taoism and sexuality of Mantak Chia was really interesting, but they really didn't help me a lot. My sexuality was still suffering, and I didn't have a good sex life. And until I met this master from Romania, Swami we call him. He was running a school in Thailand, and he came to Istanbul when I was this was 6-7 years after I finished university. So that 6-7 years, I had a lot of yogic experience, spiritual experience in India, in Japan, and they really helped me open up my heart and have a more different kind of connection with the universe, with the consciousness, or with God, if you want to call it that way. Because before I was an atheist, I was very radical, rational, Western kind of person. I was atheist. And then some experience that happened to me when I was in Japan, actually.
Yes.
And then I opened up to some spiritual experiences. It's a very special part of my life, actually. I would like to talk more about this.
Yes, can you please share it?
It was like, I was telling you about how I was as a student at university. And when all these theoretical things were happening, I was in a alcoholic world, I was drinking a lot, using some light drugs, and pretty much very lazy and doing nothing productive, especially after finishing school. Because at school at least I was doing some homework, some thesis, some project presentation, but I finished school for 1 year, Melinda, I did nothing. It was the worst year of my life, most boring. I was just basically drinking and smoking and doing nothing else. So
what have you taken from this at the finish?
Just that
some understanding.
Yeah, laziness doesn't help nothing.
Doesn't help.
I mean, a little bit of laziness is good, but life has to be flowing somewhere. You cannot just sit like a stone and expect that something will happen to you. So I decided to take action, and I decided to take very big action. I decided to go to Japan. I've never been abroad, and I just want to go to Japan.
From Turkey to Japan?
Yeah. So I flew this 8 hours flight, and I was very lucky to find a Japanese couple whom I met online before coming there. They helped me organize everything. They were very helpful. And I really like this Japanese lifestyle, like samurai movies, like this Karate Kid kind of things, Aikido and stuff like that. So, And I just decided to have an adventure for myself. I decided to still want to study in university like Eastern philosophies, comparison of Eastern, Western, like Zen Buddhism, Indian philosophy with Western philosophy, something like that. Like this was my idea. I went there with this idea, and I also wanted to do modeling. Actually, in Japan, I was doing fashion modeling, acting, like so all kind of crazy things at the same time. But there was one thing: I was totally alone. I had these Japanese friends, but they were workaholic. They were working all the time, so I wouldn't meet with them even on Sundays. So I had to be alone. I was learning Japanese. Japanese was a very difficult language. So something changed dramatically in my life. Like, from yogic sense, I would explain, I was very Swadhisthana, like just partying, you know, like I suddenly become very Manipura. I was studying kanji, like Japanese language, very difficult, and trying to work. Tokyo is the world's most expensive city in the world, you know, like I have to make a living, work, study, work, and then doing yoga at the same time, trying to learn Aikido, and suddenly this pressure made me very, very fiery. And then after that, poof, I have a awakening. Actually, it's very mysterious even to talk how it happened, because I fell in love with a girl, with a Japanese girl. Japanese girls are very difficult, you know, like you have to run after her like crazy and she will still say, no, 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 no. So I was like going crazy with this love, like platonic kind of love. And at the same time, I was very Manipura, like studying, working, and trying to make money. And on the other hand, I was going to a Reiki teacher.
Yes.
And this Reiki teacher, he was very strong. He was half Indian, half American. And he gave me an initiation. His initiation was super strong. I started like laughing like crazy. My head was spinning. And for 21 days, I couldn't eat anything. So it was just this energy, just my crown chakra was open like crazy. So everything was filling my body, and I couldn't go to school, I couldn't go to work, like I couldn't function anything. Everything, all day I was doing was just meditating and praying and crying, like emotional purifications, and just eating one meal a day because I had so much energy. Maybe going to some Aikido class and stuff like that. So until that point, I was an atheist. Even though I was doing yoga into philosophy, I was an atheist. But that experience changed my whole life.
Till you feel something.
In that consciousness, I was feeling everything. Like I was really like in this awakened consciousness, and I was like talking to the trees, like it was a unique experience, but it was too much strong. I was not ready for this experience. So after some time, I started to suffer from this. I was really going crazy. Like I had some friends where we were living. It was a collective house. I have some Indian friends. One of them was quite a spiritual guy. So he was my only friend. I would talk about God, and he would kind of understand. But at some point, he was like, "You're a little bit crazy," you know, like. So then I was very lucky to go to Vipassana meditation in Kyoto. Yeah, so I did 10.
I was in Ukraine a few times.
Yeah, so I met my Reiki teacher recommended, go to this, you know, like it will help you balance your mind. So I did 10 days and then another 10 days right after. So almost 20 days.
Use 2 times?
2 times, one after another, yeah. Like just 3-4 days break, another 10 days. And suddenly I become like more sane, more clever about everything. Okay. So I don't have to be so reactive. I was very reactive to everything. I can be more calm, but still I was fanatic. Like I would say, I'm going to be like Buddha. I'm going to go to Himalayan mountains and meditate for the rest of my life, you know. And then I left Japan because Japan is a very expensive country. So if you're not earning money, you have to leave the country. If you don't have money, how can you survive? These Vipassana courses, they were giving you food, you know, like, but how can you survive there for a long time? So I decided to come back to Turkey. And I met some master, some Sufi teachers, some friend was going to him, and some book, another book another friend gave, and all these things was telling me one thing, that my mission is not to go to Himalayas and meditate for the rest of my life. My mission is to stay in the world and do something to the world, for the world. and bring together material world and spiritual world together, you know, like do something. So this was the journey, starting of my journey of spirituality. And after that, I've been to India to find a guru, like to find a yoga master. I had very nice, interesting experiences there as well in India after this. I can go into detail if you want, but what do you think?
Yes, I would like you to share about your experience. You told me before about your shamanic way also, and once you told me that it saved your life. Yes.
Shamanic way? Shamanic way came into my life much later, like
Much later.
maybe 10 years after this Japan experience. I was more drawn into yoga and meditation. And in India, I've been to many different ashrams, many different gurus, like Amma's ashram, this woman who hugs millions of people one by one. It's like everybody, you make a queue, like hundreds of people, you wait, she hugged you for 2 seconds. 2 seconds, like 5 seconds maximum. And she hugged me 5-6 times, like in different days. And one of them I was like, it was 2 seconds, but it was like hours. Like I was, she clean your karma or something like that. It's a very interesting experience. So anyway, and some other gurus, some yoga university in Bihar, and another guru in the south of India, Coimbatore. And then I met Sri Aurobindo. Like he's a philosopher and yogi, and you know about him. He was the most. He died like 1950s, but his energy when I went to his ashram in Auroville, it was a very strong experience as well. And I said, okay, this is my philosophy. This is where I want to come back. But I had to go to Turkey for army service because I need long visa for India and blah 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 blah. So life didn't let me flow there. I've been to Auroville 2 times later too, and they were also nice experiences. But I love Sri Aurobindo very much, but it's not fully my way. I found other ways after that. But he was very good inspiration. He was like very good light about what life is all about, what the world is all about. He's also a sociologist, philosopher, like everything in one person. So, and then after that, I become more going to material world. After army service, I did work for a Canadian consultant company. I had the highest salary in my life ever, like working with top managers, CEOs and stuff like that. And then I decided going to coaching, like NLP, coaching, hypnotherapy, like I want to have a career in this. But meanwhile, something I learned in India didn't leave me. In this trip of finding Sri Aurobindo yogis, I met about Mayan calendar. And there was a Swedish man, a scientist, that talk about and write books about this. And after 2 years after my Indian visit, I invited him to Turkey for conference, for private sessions, and we become good friends. And he also teach me how to do these readings from Mayan birthdays. And I loved it very much. It was very true for me. Like I was like, okay, I like astrology, but this was very unique. It was so true. I was like excited just to read about myself. And then I started reading more and helping other people, and then it turned into a job, like doing private sessions, making money, and I become more and more experienced. And a couple of years later, one of my friends, he's a very wise businessman, he advised me to make a website from this. And I made a website, first in Turkish and in English. So it's still running, like, and these days I'm trying to make the new version of this website. So the Mayan astrology never left me. It was very helpful for me. I help people from this, but I was not satisfied. My rising is Gemini, and I like to change things all the time. You know, like attention to that, attention to that. And meanwhile, I was feeling that I'm missing 2 things in all this. First, yoga. I'm doing yoga asanas for 4 years, 5 years. I'm talking about that. But something is missing. Like somebody haven't told me what this asana really works for. Like, I know that this asana is deeper than what it is, that everybody's teaching about. But nobody has told me it. I was like a child. I was waiting, like, who will tell me? And the second thing was my sexual life. Something is missing with my sexuality. You know, like, I don't have good relations, I don't have good performance in sex, and I was suffering because of this. My relationships didn't work. So one man solved both of these problems. In 2007, 3 years after this Indian visit, it was another funny coincidence. I would like to talk about this as well. Like, I was in Israel for 4 or 5 days. It was a collective spiritual gathering. So I was in Jerusalem, and in this spiritual gathering, I met one woman. Like, we immediately connected. Sorry?
Just drive from a drive.
Eye, energy, feeling, voice, everything. And it was like a collective hug, like 20, 30, 40 people. And in the end of this, we hugged each other and we had instant connection. And we started talking and we liked each other. And we spent that night together. Like we didn't, we met and we never disappeared. We never left each other. She was free, I was free. And it was also my last evening. I had to go back to Tel Aviv and go back to Turkey. My flight ticket was there. I was with a group of 5-7 people. So she said, okay, let's spend this night together, let's make it special. Let's go to Dead Sea. Like, there's part of Israel, there's a Dead Sea, like it's a very interesting place. So that night we went to Dead Sea, and on the way and on Dead Sea when we came, she was talking to me about her tantric experiences. She was a very tantric woman, like crazy about female ejaculation, belly dance, kundalini shakti, yoga, and everything, and all this. And she was telling me about her Indian lover that. So, like, she was telling me crazy things like, oh, with her Indian lovers, they make sex for 2 days. Like, what are you talking about? You know, like, but they just broke up and she's unhappy. So we have connection, and she kind of initiated me into Tantra. Like, we had sex that night and it was very interesting. Like, she was completely different from all the other women that I know, and so she kind of initiated me into Tantra. That night, I spent with her. Later on, I went back to Israel for her. We spent together for some time and then we break up. But I will always remember her. She has a unique energy, you know, like a little bit dark. She talked about Lilith, you know, like in this, which is okay, like in the tradition of Christianity and Judaism. There's this, like, the first wife of Adam, like not Eve, but Lilith. She was a Lilith fanatic and all these things. But it was fine, and so anyway, from that night, from Dead Sea, the next morning I spent a little bit of time with her. I have to go back to Tel Aviv airport and then fly to Turkey. And in Tel Aviv airport, I meet my friends, I open my laptop, and there's an email. And this email says, the famous Tantra master in Istanbul tonight. And this weekend...
This is how it happened, yes? Sometimes it just happens.
Yeah.
Something, message to your phone.
Yeah. And this was about... it was like, it makes sense so much. This email was about this tantric master that has this school in Thailand. So, which I spent 5 years later on. So, this email is in front of me, I immediately replied, I'm coming. So, one night before I had my tantric initiation from a strange Israeli woman, 24 hours later, I'm sitting in front of a Romanian tantra master in Istanbul, like, and he's talking about tantra in a very different and interesting way, like, and I took the workshop, and I'm like, this guy is Superman, you know, like, Mantak Chia doesn't talk about these things, Osho doesn't talk about these things, and he's teaching very important stuff, very fundamental technical stuff, as well as philosophy. So we become good friends, and I decided to try his technology, like something changed in my life. So this was in May, and he came back in November for another workshop. So in this 6 months, I had some change in my life, like spiritually, energetically, sexually. But I came to his workshop again, and we had a dinner together. We become good friends, and I told him, you know, like, I tried your techniques, but they didn't really work completely. And he said, come to yoga, you know, like, come to our island, come to our school and study yoga. Yoga will help you very much. And then I decided to go to Thailand, and 3 months after this conversation, I was in Thailand in his yoga school, and he has amazing teachings, like his yoga course. Forget about Tantra, like the yoga is so deep and so effective. I told you, he was the man also who told me, okay, this asana is for this, you know, like he gave all the technical depth about all the simple looking techniques. They are so
deep understanding, yes?
of yoga, yeah, very much so. So I still apply these yoga techniques that I learned from him. I stayed there 5 years. I became a teacher of his school. I taught his yoga for a couple of years. So also in this workshop, I'm going to teach what I learned from this yoga, a little bit related with Tantra. So this is my story, I guess, some part of it, the core part of it.
I want to ask you and tell me about this special experience when you work with this special group of children who have some illness and problem with health.
Mm-hmm.
How did you come into it? How do you start to work with it? What this experience show you, open something for you? I want you to tell me this.
Well, it's another chapter of my life. So after this 5 years in this yoga school, I come back to Turkey and I go more into some different ways, like some Osho way kind of therapies and also some shamanic Native American kind of ways. And meanwhile, I have a friend in Turkey. He's a family constellation expert and a life coach. And we become good friends. We make workshop together for men. He was very supporting this idea. And one of his good friends is a woman who has a child who has a traumatized in the birth, and he has brain damage, cerebral palsy, it's a medical condition. He cannot do much really, he's a special child. And this woman, she become very good friend of mine, and we become partners, we organize tours. She wants my help. She comes to me and say, I need somebody like you. She never met me before. She saw me in her dream or something, and she wants to meet me, and she wants to bring me to Brazil. First of all, to this healer, a medium healer, John of God. Because he doesn't speak English, he wants somebody who can speak English and who is also spiritually aware and like to help people. So I was the perfect guy for it. So I said, okay, let me try. I have nothing to lose. I'll come with you to Brazil. We went there with the group of 20 people, and I was already translating. There was a guide and the people, so I was translating between him and the rest of the group. I like this guide very much too. He's an Austrian man, Gary. So we had a connection with him as well. So after that, I started to keep coming back there. Her and me, we decided making groups, and I just stopped going this year. Until this year, I went there 4 years, many times, more than 10 times. And of course, her child is in a very difficult condition. This Brazilian healer helped this boy, but not fully. So she's still looking for other options. And one good option was this Indian doctor. So for 1 year after we met with this woman, she said, okay, now we are going to India. And it's in Pune. It's funny enough where Osho Ashram is, I didn't have much chance to go to Osho Ashram, just few days, because I was there mostly for this doctor. And he's a scientist, he works in a very different way. And he gives some certain homeopathic medicine to these children, and these children, 70% of chance, they start changing something, improving something with their brain functions. It could be autism, hyperactivity, many different things. And I just find myself in this, helping children, helping people with special needs. It opens my heart, and nobody else can do it also. I really think about who else can be doing it in Turkey. Maybe 3-4 other people, because you need to be free. You need to speak English, you want to be willing to help these people, you want to understand what it is about, you need to be patient with their parents, because these parents, they suffer so much, they have a lot of psychological problems themselves. So it's actually not so easy to do all this, but I learned, first of all, this Indian doctor, Dr. Ozal, he's an amazing person too. He's a very spiritual, loving person who wants to help all the children of the world. So I have good spiritual connection with him. I'm happy with this. His son is a very good friend of mine too. He's an Osho sannyasi. He likes to go to Osho since he's a teenager. He's very different from his father, so he's like my age. We have very beautiful conversation with him. So I like people there, and also it's kind of give me a satisfaction that I can be an agent. I can be helping some children, some families to come out of something that looks impossible. That looks impossible from Western medical scientific view. Because doctors will say, this child, forget about this child. Nothing is possible with this child. But something happens, either with this Brazilian healer or this Indian guy. And even there are many other different healers or techniques. I can go into this direction more, but I decided not to do it so much. I decided to now at the moment just stay with Dr. Oswald, and because it's very good connection, personal connection with him, and just continue this. And with the rest of my time, I want to have other projects. Like one of them is this your center and this websites and workshops together with you in Ukraine or internationally. I want to have my own website, my own products. I have tons of ideas coming to me after our baby's birth, actually. After I become a father, suddenly everything changed. Like becoming a parent, I think changes everything. Everything changes in your life. So I become more peaceful in my heart, and I'm accepting myself more, accepting outside world more, and have also a lot of inspiration. I realized that I had a lot of inspiration before, but last 5 years before my child's birth, like even though I seem to be going to Brazil, all these things, India, and teaching some things, I kind of a little bit slowed down, maybe getting old, getting a little bit pessimistic about life. But this birth of our baby made everything different. Like I suddenly have like a fresh breath and do a lot of things. So I'm happy to be connected with this, like my inner child.
Your new birth too, yes?
Yeah, I have a
rebirth.
Rebirth, yeah. Like somebody was telling me, if you become a parent, you will be born again. I was like thinking, oh, maybe it's for the mother, you know, like the birth process is so strong for the mother, but also the father is impacted as well.
Okay, this is nice. You tell your story so deep. I'm touched, really. And now probably would like to give you a few questions. Maybe this could help somebody from other audience. Yes.
Sure.
And if just this person happens something first, experience, yes, some spirituality, just touch a little bit, and they could be disappointed a little bit also, and scared, what can you recommend?
You mean to have a strong experience?
Yes,
and they
just
become
strong
scared?
experience. Yes, if they was like atheistic or something like that, or don't believe in nothing, and just first experience they have.
Or disappointment. What do you mean by disappointment?
Lose your way a little bit, like everything.
Okay. Got lost.
Yes, get lost a little bit. What can you recommend in this point?
I mean, I'm sure not everybody is having this kind of experiences, and it's difficult experiences. If I can only talk about my own, spiritual openings can be, I think I can say that it can be very risky as well. In which way? Some people, they experience this and it can become very egoistic interpretation, or like I am special. Like even some schizophrenic people, I like this word in Ukrainian circles, esoteric. Some people can get schizophrenic, you know, like, oh, I am God. You know, like, okay, you are God too. You are also God, like you, her, and everybody else.
It's like everybody.
Yeah, yeah. We have this divine light in ourselves, divine peace. So, like, it's like this, like, just normal person, like having a lot of psychological problems, suddenly becomes spiritual. Carry all these things into the spiritual world, like, and you can become a spiritual ego. Like Muji recently had a very nice quote about this online, like, if you are kind of trying to be vegetarian and try to prove you're better than other people, you still have ego. Or you're like doing yoga because you think you're special, you're still in ego trap. You know, like, just to be aware of these things, you know. And meditation is, I think, is a very good way. But like again, meditation can be too the same way. Oh, I'm meditating so good, you know. Like, look at I'm like Buddha, you know. This can happen to. This happened to me too, by the way. Like, I have all these ego trips. So we need to be melting, you know, like we need to learn how to melt, like in the eternity, you know, like this tantric experience, not call it anything, maybe just letting go of self, you know, like this ecstasy, this, whatever gives you this, meditation or magic mushrooms or sex, tantric sex or whatever, you know, like, of course, I don't recommend to go into hard drugs, you know, like, but maybe some shamanic experience can help. But this is the core of spirituality. You are nothing. You are nobody. Like we are just like a very nice metaphor is we are like on the ocean, a wave. The wave is not separate from the ocean.
Yes.
So
this first I adore. Really.
yeah, and it's temporary. Like after 70 years, this will be gone completely, or 100 years. So who are you basically? So this Advaita Vedanta kind of approach is very helpful. Like if you want to follow a philosophy, Advaita Vedanta is very nice philosophy. I think. Like who am I? Who the fuck am I? I'm nobody. Like of course I'm not just nobody. I have divine blah 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 blah. But it doesn't matter intellectually. Your experience is important. I'm a lover of yoga. I think yoga will help a lot, but not this kind of yoga that is. Again, it could be an ego trip. You know, like you see how flexible I am, how strong I am. Yoga is not about flexibility or strength or balance. It's about evolution. You know, like this yoga posture or pranayama or technique does it help you to become more flexible with your mind, for example, that you can observe your mind in a better way. Like, can you look at your mind? Oh, okay, like my mind is like this. So you become the observer, the conscious Shiva, like consciousness is in tantric way.
This helps very much because you don't identify with any experiences.
So as much as possible, keep humility somewhere in your pocket. You know, like if you see yourself super egoistic, like some alarm bell should ring. You know, like dun, 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 alarm. Something like that, you know, like, of course, on the opposite, some people can feel too much humility is also not so good, you know, like, oh, like, I see it in Sufi circles, for example, I am nothing, I am nobody, but this becomes your ego, you know, like, you're playing this role.
Yes.
And that is not authentic too, you know, like, we need authenticity. And I don't know if this is an answer to your question. Like,
yes. This goal will take, I think. Also, would like to ask you, what helped you to come back or to coming up when you fall down? Also, how do you come back to balance when you're on the
when you make a mistake in life, or when you have a bad experience,
and stress and all of that. With help of what you come back to yourself to balance.
You ask me personally?
Yes. Maybe you use something.
Well, I go to my own space, basically.
Yes.
I it's not always possible. I go to my own place, and this place means sometimes a room, and also like going inside and just feeling what is inside and let it happen. Like if it's sadness, I cry. If it's anger, I express it somehow, like as much as possible in my own world, not harming anybody else if possible, and not harming myself. Sometimes, even recently, I'm not very successful in this. This is called catharsis. It's a Greek term, like from ancient Greece, but Osho uses it a lot in his meditations, because this catharsis let go of so many things. If you can do it consciously, it make you relax your mind, empty your energy. You can vomit your negativity very much. Like also in ayahuasca, it's very similar. You drink this South American tea in shamanic ceremony, and most people vomit out, and you're vomiting out your negativity. So we need to vomit our negativity somehow. Like if you're feeling negative, it's good opportunity to clear this, to clean this, and let go of this. Don't try to fight with it. Don't try to be happy again. Be real. You are in that state. Explore it. Maybe it will take 3-4 days. Maybe it will take 3-4 hours, 3-4 minutes. It doesn't matter. The more meditative you are, the more you can just observe and express and observe and let go and accept. It will be shorter, and it will go higher. But this comes with experience. So everything, any technique, method, philosophy we learn, we need to be patient with ourselves and don't say, oh, I couldn't do it. You're just learning to do it. You know, like a baby, when they learn to walk, they fall many times. Yeah. They never say, I can't do it. They just fall and just stand up and go again. I think we need to have this childhood innocence.
And also taste of game.
Taste of game?
Yes.
Life is a game, yeah.
Yes. don't lose this tasty to try, tasty to study all this.
Well, if you take life too seriously, you are disconnected with your inner child.
My teacher of yoga told me that no win, no lose, life is gain.
Yeah, in yoga they call
Touch me very deep.
I see. Lila is a term in Sanskrit.
Yes.
Life is a divine game.
Yes. So it's not about no serious, lazy or left everything. It's just because of stress of mind. You get out of it because you come back to this understanding that just happened and accept a little bit.
I remember I have a very good friend, very old friend. He's doing shamanic ceremonies. I'd like to join his ceremonies. Sometimes he speaks and he says, I'm trying to find the balance between my seriousness and non-seriousness. You know, like, because he has to be very serious, but also not serious at the same time. You know, like, it's like a balanced game. So, yeah.
Also, I would like to ask you last question. Do you have your own special rituals practiced by morning or once per month, something like that? Do you have something interesting?
Unfortunately, I'm not a very ritual kind of guy. I cannot really do very deep routines in my life. I have, of course, a lot of routines. Maybe it's a lot of routines for some people, relatively. Maybe you'll say, "Oh, this is so much," you know. But I usually like to, after wake up, don't eat breakfast for 1-2 hours. It's kind of a cleaning process. Like, it can be even 4, 5, 6 hours if I'm in a good state of mind. And that depends on my yoga. If I do yoga, meditation, I'll be very relaxed and happy. Like, it's a good start for the day, a spiritual start for the day. And then having a big breakfast, also part of my ritual. You know, like, I love big breakfast, the biggest meal of the day. And I like recently very much to have a big bath. You know, like, fill in my bath and put some salt and light some incense and put some nice music. Just go there and just meditate. You know, just forget about everything and just. It's a deep meditation. I can't do it every day, but a couple of times a week. It's a good ritual for me.
Yes, this is nice. A few times per week or once per month, but something you try to repeat. What helps you?
We need to create space in our life. That's the main thing. Like, the modern world is like, we don't have space, we don't have time. You know, like, the social media is pressing on us. So I create space from social media recently. I told you about this. So, and also we need to create a meditative place. Like, it could be even a chair, a yoga mat, a room that I feel connected every day, where I can find some peace. I put this energy here all day long, like, or not all day long, but whenever I can, and I can't get it back from this place. It's like I have a connection with this place, and this place reminds me of my inner space where I can just observe things. Otherwise, I'm gonna get lost in the news, in social media, in my fight with my lover, like, and I will lose my mind. I will lose everything. So I need one anchor, one space, emptiness, where I can breathe and just move and find myself, live as I am, totally authentically. Otherwise, I have to suppress everything, and this suppression will come out with all kinds of pathologies in life. And most people are living in this way. Suppression, pathology, and a lot of stress.
Yes, I understand. Also, you told me that you use a lot of things from Ayurveda, like nose cleaning, kunjala, and so on and so on.
Not so much, actually. Like, I do my morning cleanings. Like, when after wake up, I just don't wash my face. I spend some 10-15 minutes. Some basic neti, you know, like these things. Not more than that. Like, I'm not very deep into this Kriya Yoga kind of thing. But recently I decided to go deeper again, like Shankar Prakshalana, liver cleans. Now I have some more time for these things, and I want to clean my body more, purify my body more, in a routine. It's very important.
I like to joke about Prakshalana. free your space.
Free your space, yeah. Let's go.
Let's go.
For those of you who doesn't know what it is, it's a cleaning of your intestines. Also, all the shit comes out of your body. Like there's no more shit that can come out, and then you stop, and that's the end of the procedure. It has to be done with a professional teacher.
Yes, this is
First
very
time.
important, of course.
It's dangerous technique, otherwise.
To understand Kriya, to use it, we need to let somebody show us who are good in this, maybe a Ayurvedic doctor or yoga teacher.
When I was teaching yoga, this is one of my favorite teachings actually, and slowly I want to come back to these things and share this information because I know so many things, but I just keep them in my bag, you know, like nobody knows about it. Even you don't know so many things. So slowly it's time to open up them, and in today's internet world, I'm planning to put them somewhere online, some videos, so I don't have to teach them again and again. So it will just stay there and people can access anytime. It's like a library.
Okay, thank you. It was very warm and interesting interview
for me too.
So relaxing we are, and I have many insights for me. I will share with you later.
All right.
And also we have a plan to make something like that in future with Fatih and with other people probably. So if you are interested to ask us some questions, or you would like we touch some themes and open it, put some attention into it, so you can ask us, and probably we will make something like that. So thank you for attention and stay with us.